hit shot.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Chicken Fingers, your friendly neighborhood commentator, and today we're going to be looking at the new weapon for the scout, the flying guillotine, which causes enemies to bleed upon hit, will 100% critically hit enemies who are stunned, and that's why we're using the Sandman. Thank you, FS Ninja, for allowing me to use this weapon for a little bit and try it out. We're going to look at some 3 questions that usually pop up around this weapon. Can you pick it up? Does it have the arc and aim of the Sandman? And can it be reflected? Hey Pyro, can you reflect this back into my face? Yep, you can. Yep. Now as for the arc and the aim of this weapon compared to the Sandman, you'll see here I'm aiming right at the lower part of the G. That's where I want the ball to hit, and it hits dead on that spot, right at the basin of that window ledge right there. Now I'm going to throw the guillotine without moving, and you see it hits far lower than the Sandman. So obviously when you throw this weapon, it has a lot less velocity. Therefore you actually have to throw a little bit higher if you're going for longer attacks. Now one thing I noticed is the weapon also veers to the right slightly. Now I'm going to aim directly for the center of this O. When I throw it, it hits slightly low and to the right. So pretty much when you aim, kind of wiggle your aim over to the left, and if you're stunned by this weapon, just hold D, wiggle yourself over to the right because of the offset. Now coming down to the third and final commonly asked question is no, you cannot pick this weapon up. Once you throw it, that is it. You gotta wait till it recharges before you can throw another one. Now you can take all the information and process it as you will, but at the end of the day, this weapon in practice is probably the hardest weapon in the game to use. It's very akin to the Huntsman and the Market Gardener. The Huntsman in the fact that that's how it operates. It's slow moving and it does a lot of damage, but also as the Market Gardener, because while it is probably the most selfish weapon in the game, and I'll get to that in a minute, it has the most rewarding kills. When you kill somebody with this, you feel so accomplished, like you just had sex with 30 women. It's an amazing sensation. Okay, maybe not that amazing, but as weapons go in Team Fortress 2, it's probably one of the most fun to use. Now before I said this weapon was selfish, and it is, it really is, think about how many people this weapon actually helps out. In order to really use this weapon properly, you have to stun an enemy and then hit him with the cleaver. You're using 2 weapons, the Sandman and the cleaver, at the same time, and on the same enemy. So really, unless it's a heavy or it's a medic, you're really not doing much justice, and there are much better classes for taking heavies and medics out. Sniper or Spy. Those are classes that should be focusing on one player at a time because it's their job. Now when you use this weapon, you're running a big risk when you're using it. Usually when you bonk somebody, you use your pistol, your scattergun, force of nature, whatever you have equipped to usually finish off a bonked opponent before they can get unstunned. With this weapon, you're hoping that you can A, hit them before they move, because unless the bonk is far enough away, they still have the ability to slightly wiggle out of the line of fire. And B, that you can actually adjust for the drop in this weapon, and the fact that it does shoot slightly off to the right and still get the kill. It's really a gamble when you use this weapon, and that's why it is still very fun to use, and it has that satisfying kill feeling when you actually get the cleaver on a stunned enemy. But at the same time, I would much rather feel better if a scout was using something more surefire like the pistol. Now obviously, if you want to get better at using this weapon, you have to get classes that aren't going to be moving around as much and give you the opportunity to actually get the stun and the cleaver. And I would say practice this on a map that's more favorable to snipers, something like 2-4, or maybe an attack defend like Gravel Pit, where you know snipers are going to be hanging out in the corner and trying to pop headshots. That way when you stun them before they can even get out of their scope, you'll be able to get the cleaver fired off, and you'll be able to learn the trajectory that you actually have to throw it to make a hit. Now I would like to say that heavies are easy targets for this weapon, but really they're not. The main thing is when heavies attack, they're usually dealing with, you know, big pushes. They're also dealing with the heavier classes, and usually that would work for a weapon like this, but it really doesn't, because the fact of the matter is heavies 95% of the time have medics, and they're usually way over 150 health. So even if you get the stun, and even if you get the attack, and even if you get the bleed, there's a very high chance of failure. And now one more thing with using this weapon is this weapon actually turns out to be a great weapon to counter pushes. If you can get enemies in a tight corridor, this hatchet can do a lot of damage. It's actually pretty impressive how much damage this thing can do, even without the stun ball. So don't be afraid to just chuck this thing out and see if you get something, because it recharges generally fast. I would say within 5 seconds you have another cleaver. You can actually probably throw 3 cleavers to every stun ball. So if you get the stun and you get the slash, don't be afraid to throw another cleaver or 2 before your stun ball recharges, because it seems to be working. So in conclusion, guys, I have mixed feelings about this weapon. For one, I absolutely hate it because it's so inaccurate and it's very, very difficult. Now, it is consistent, but it is inaccurate because it does have that slight veer to the right. At the same time, I love it because it's so much damn fun to use. And it's got a very satisfying kill, you know? So, the jury's out right now. Am I going to use this? I might want to just get better with it. And guys, that brings us to the end of this commentary. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, you know what to do. There's a like button. You can give it a favorite if you really, really liked it. Of course, my name is Chicken Fingers. I am your friendly neighborhood commentator. Thank you for stopping by. I'll see you on the battlefield, and peace out.
Who wants some of this?